Let this screen be our motivation from this point onwards. Here's the thing. I would love to put on the YouTuber voice and be like, oh man, we lost as the keeper. This is ridiculous. Oh, but that's not really like, you know, 9Y690K3H. That's not really realistic. That's not an apt way to act. We lost as a character that it's, you know, is easy to lose with. I always, so like when my parents were here, hold on, I gotta ergo up. I gotta get my desk to ergonomic standards. Will this do? You know, I think I would benefit from a little bit of that. Oh, that feels good. I took my parents to one of the Canucks games while they were here, and I told my parents, like, I love hockey. I mean, I don't play it, but I love to watch hockey. And, you know, following the story of it, you know, the narratives that happen over the course of a season is very enjoyable. I always think that I want to go to a lot of games, and then I go to a game, and there's like a 50% chance I'm just appalled or embarrassed by the behavior of people around me. And I'm like, dude, it's just better to watch on TV a lot of the time. I hate to say it. Look, in the past, you know, 6 years or so, I don't know, I've probably seen like 15 plus Canucks games live, at least half the time, and it has nothing to do with the Canucks fan base. I'm sure it happens, you know, maybe not every fan base, but, you know, certainly every Canadian fan base, and I'm assuming most American ones as well. All it takes is one loud idiot in a section of, like, you know, 500 people to really put a damper on the evening. I gotta say, when we took him to the game, our section was great, but later, I saw a news story that there had been a brawl, and it's because, you know, it's the Oilers who are from Edmonton and the Canucks who are from Vancouver, obviously. And, you know, if you're not familiar with the Canadian politics of it, imagine, you know, like the Portland Trail Blazers against, like, I'm trying to think. I want to be fair. Imagine a team from the most liberal city in America against a team from the most conservative major city in Canada, or in America, I should say. And that's not really fair because, you know, I forgot about Calgary. Sorry, Calgarians. But it runs deeper. They've got a history. There's regional closeness, which means there's a rivalry. And then there's also these now, like, political differences between BC and Alberta, and, you know, regional alienation in Canada, etc., etc. So, you know, it all runs hot. I just, like, how much of a loser do you have to be to get in a fist fight at a hockey game? That's where I'm at. Like, tickets to this game were not cheap, and the game was not a blowout. Look, I've, oh my god, help me. No more poop enemies, okay? They're too difficult with the tough characters in the game. Okay, we're gonna make it. Disregard. I've been to some tough games, you know. I've been to playoff games where, you know, I always think 2014, 2015, round one, Cade and I went to see game one against Calgary. You know, Vancouver's most heated rival, at least until Seattle makes it into the league. Games tied with like 45 seconds left. We're like, oh my god, we're going to get to see some playoff overtime. This is exciting. They just score, you know. It's disappointing. But that's the game, you know? You don't go, I gotta go to the bathroom and sucker punch somebody wearing an orange jersey. Like, you gotta be a real piece of work for that to enter into your worldview, I think. But, you know, people are shelling out like $200, $300 to go to the game. That's just for the ticket. Beers are literally like $15.75 each, something along those lines. This is not a joke. And I know you're like, I know if you're American, you can make the joke, okay? It's not like I've heard it literally 1 million times, but, oh, 15 Canadian dollars? What is that, 1 America buck? See, this is why we talk about you when you're not around. It's just disrespectful. Anyway, me and all the other cool countries, we get around and go, geez, have you ever... Yes, they call our money monopoly money too. I'm like, I know, Switzerland, come on. Why do they say those hurtful things about us? Yeah, I guess we should just make our money one color so you can't tell what bill is which. I know, Germany. I don't know why they think that's a better system, okay? Anyway, the point is, I just can't fathom. What would possess someone to do that? And, I mean, I know I can, because the real answer is just... drunk, and then a little splash of stupidity, but I'm always just a little embarrassed by the actions of others. Perhaps I should not be, you know, but I should just find it funny, but I'm always, like, I can't see my HP and I'm frightened, okay? I don't think we should take this deal unless it comes with hearts, and it does, so we will. It's a very good item for Blue Baby, for sure. But, it's just, you know what, especially if I, like, you know, I take my parents to a game, they have opinions about Vancouver. Which is very, very fair. I want to add. But I love the city, but they're like, why is everything so expensive? And I'm like, yeah, I know. And they're like, why do people on the street not treat each other like human beings? Why do they just, you know, why does everybody act like their time is more valuable than everybody else's? They get in each other's way, cut in line, and etc., etc. And I'm like, yeah, and you know, but like, it's the culture here, you know, people are busy, and you know, it's hard to make a living, so, you know, people are a little stressed out, but like, look at the mountains. And then you go to a game, and, you know, people are getting into fist fights, and you're like, it's hockey! You're watching the Canucks at Rogers Arena, they lose 45 games a season. Are you gonna get into 45 fights a year? What's wrong with you? Anyway, don't fight, Ed. I mean, like, in general, I'm not naive enough to say that there is no reason you should ever get into a fist fight. I feel like my generation, well, I won't speak for my generation because that's not fair. I can only speak for my own personal experiences within my own generation. But I was raised by a very tender, gentle mother, and you know, she was of the opinion like there's no reason to ever resort to violence in any situation. I have never raised a child, but you know, I think if someone's being violent with you at school, I want to be clear, I'm not advocating for violence. It's a dangerous line of reasoning, but you know, you start to think about things like, man, if my kid was getting bullied at school, what do? You know, yes, you should go talk to the parents and, you know, be like, hey, your kid's bullying my kid. But I think on the sly, you might also want to give your kid, like, a lesson on how to punch a dude in the face. And you don't want to, you know, you're not like, hey, ruin this kid's life. But you're like, you know, if he's going to pick on you, dish you back a little bit. And I think that's a much more effective praxis. I shouldn't have tried to fish for that, but at least it did work. My 2 cents, and I'm not a child psychologist, so it's a dangerous line of reasoning, is that, you know, if you have a bully, and I was blessed enough to not really be bullied, picked on at worst, occasionally, throughout school, and by throughout, I mean like once or twice over 15 years, but if you got like a real full-fledged bully, you should probably punch him in the face. Right? I don't know. Anybody out there, a school administrator that could tell me? I'll hide your, I will hide your identity to protect your anonymity. But regardless, I'm not naive enough to say there's never a reason to get in a fist fight. The reason you should get in a fist fight is if somebody is being violent towards you, or is being violent towards, you know, somebody that needs to be protected. I think that's the safe answer there. If somebody else has already resorted to violence, you have, in my opinion, more of a green light, potentially, to get involved. What I would never suggest is getting into a fist fight because someone's acting rude in public. That's just too much. We've talked about it before on the show. You know, Rob will be like, you know, and we have different philosophies on this for sure. But Rob will be like, what if you and Kate were walking down the street and somebody, you know, just randomly insulted Kate? What would you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we would just walk away. I think as soon as somebody insults you randomly on the street, you got to recognize you've already won because they're standing on the street. The last time I've had enough free time to just stand on the street, having nothing to do but be a jerk to people who walked by, I was probably like 8 years old. So I've progressed past that point in my life. As soon as you start to throw shade like that, I'm not going to deny that you're being ignorant, but at the same time, you've just surrendered. You've toppled over your king on the first move of the game, you know? You got nothing to gain by getting in a fist fight with them. Especially because if they're being ignorant on the street on a you know, a daily basis, they might be more used to the fist fights. Anyway, I think you already know this, but it's just my perspective. Just don't behave like a jerk in public. I mean, at every hockey game, there's a couple of different types of people. There's always, you know, somebody's there and is like, what's icing? And then you got to explain icing, and then you realize that you don't even understand it that well. When your team has the puck behind the center line, and they clear it, but it was not ruled an attempted pass, and it's also ruled that nobody on the enemy team could have possibly gotten to it in time. This will pay for itself, but I wish we could have... Maybe we could have gone diagonal, but I doubt it. And then there's always one guy who either coaches his son's, like, 9-year-old hockey team, or, God forbid, used to play, like, 3 levels below Junior A himself, who's like, oh, come on, cycle the puck, get him moving. You gotta move those feet, Levo. And you're like, dude, shut up. There's always, there are 100 people that shout shoot at all times, and that just gets me. Because it's like, you think they don't practice that part? You think you're better at the target selection than somebody whose whole life boils down to trying to get a little tiny rubber disc into the net? For me, it's like, you know, you ever drive? And some of you were like, no, that's fine. You can come up with your own metaphor for this situation. Sometimes I'll be driving, and Kate will go like, and it scares the crap out of you, right? And I go, oh, what? And then she goes, you know, you think that there's a pedestrian you're about to hit or something like that, or, you know, you're about to get T-boned by a garbage truck. And then she goes like, Hatsune Miku's coming to Vancouver. And you're like, you didn't have to make that sound. I'm not mad, but you triggered the emotional response, you know, from the spinal cord. You gotta save the gasps for situations in which it's most relevant. Otherwise, you're gonna get the boy who cried gasp, you know? One time you're gonna gasp, and I'm gonna be like, oh, it's probably just, you know, a picture of Adam Levine with his shirt off. But actually, it's like, oh, there's a robber, you know? What a shot. That's incredible. Anyway. That's what I feel like. I'm at the game. They're yelling at, like, you know, Elias Patterson to shoot. And I'm like, dude, this kid has, you know, 43 more NHL goals than you'll ever have. And you're yelling at him when he's at work right now. It's like one of the only jobs, along with streaming, where, you go to work and people yell at you. They think, you know, well, in many cases it's weird because, you know, in terms of, like, streaming, most people do actually know better than me what I should be doing in the game. But that's what people are like, shoot! And I'm like, yeah, thank you. I didn't consider that. I appreciate that. And then I easily get the most frags in a match of Halo Reach because I'm very good. I gotta say, so I've been playing, like, a lot of Tetris 99. In my downtime, Halo Reach came out for Steam and probably other PC-related platforms. Let me out, please. It almost got me last night. I always, like, I finish streaming, I finish recording, you know, getting the groceries, doing the dishes, taking the garbage out, whatever domestic stuff needs to be done. I was like, I could play Tetris 99 right now, but I could also play a little Halo Reach again, because we played it during the show and it was a good time. And in my head, it just kind of like a little voice went. Okay, you get the joke. I could keep it going. This is our vengeance against this guy, by the way. I hate you. Oh, when you spin and jump, you're immune, huh? As if you weren't strong enough. No. Okay, we're okay. We're okay. We're okay. Dude, thank God for Empty Vessel here. But I didn't. I just played more Invictus. But Halo is getting me, dude. It's definitely getting me. It's just, like, you wouldn't know it from my performance. Especially the first hour of Halo was absolutely terrible. For my personal performance, at least. But once I started actually shooting instead of exclusively rolling people over in, or trying to run people over in a Warthog, dude, it came back to me a little bit. I played so much Halo 2. It's probably, I would say it's my second most played original Xbox game of all time. I do think I probably had more hours in Project Gotham Racing 2. I've always liked racing games for whatever reason. I have a natural aptitude for virtual driving, at least in a, you know, the thing is, like, I think I obviously don't have an aptitude for virtual shooting, at least anymore. But I've always just sort of gotten, like, racing lines. Like, implicitly, I understand. I think it comes from being a fast walker and always having to be like, okay, when they take this turn, I'm going to pass them on the outside, etc., etc. And then it's either Halo 2 or Rainbow Six 3. It's probably Halo 2. And I was... Look, I wasn't playing MLG. I wasn't dragging a big old CRT monitor to, you know, LAN parties held in the back room at a Circuit City. But I was usually, like, first or second top fragger in the game. No joke. So once I started actually shooting a little bit, and I saw me climbing the ranks, even came second in frags to Bear a couple of times, who's using a controller and still dominating, which is just madness. But I was like, yeah, I remember this. It's like locked in my genetic memory. Or not genetic, I guess. It's like my actual memory. I remember how to shoot the DMR, which I will forever call the battle rifle until the day I die. What is this? The devil. We could really use some offensive improvements here. I almost feel like, what if you just shoot one of these guys and then just roll around in here until you get invincibility and then play the Demon Judgment? Am I the kind of person that can do this? I'm gonna let this go until 17 minutes, okay, to see if this plan works. This might not count as a normal combat room because of the fact that it's, you know, it's a special curse room, but I don't know. Oh, it worked! You genius, dude. Now, if this paid out, I'm gonna go ahead and say it would be incredible for us if that paid out. Come on. I think we deserve it. Don't hit me. I'll keep walking. Now I'll go till 18 minutes. I think it's worth it. Look, I'm faster than you. I'm slow, but I'm faster than you. Anyway, suffice it to say, forgot how fun Halo is. It's aged pretty well. Sprint being mapped to the X button instead of, yes, oh, dude, so deserved. Sprint being mapped to the X button instead of the left thumbstick is absurd. But that's why I've been using the keyboard and mouse. Also, you can rebind the controls, so really I'm just complaining for no reason. I've had a bunch of stuff, actually. Like, so I've been playing, like I just said mere minutes ago, I've been playing so much Tetris 99 Invictus in my downtime. Invictus, by the way. But it had been like 3 months before, or since the last time I thought about playing like another game in my downtime. And it was Apex Legends. I was playing a little bit of Apex in, I guess, early October. So maybe not 3 months, but now I'm like, dude, I want to play Halo. I want to play the Hunter Call of the Wild, which is a very bizarre feeling. And now I like, Kate had a bounty for Phoenix Point, which is the Julian Gollop, who was the original designer behind the original XCOM, I should say. Not the original designer behind the original XCOM. He's the designer behind the original XCOM. He released a game that he designed called Phoenix Point, which is very, very similar to the modern XCOMs. So I played a little bit with Kate on her bounty last night, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling the itch. It feels like, I've only played an hour with her, but it feels to me like, it's kind of like, what was that game called? The Paradox published game with the mechs. Oh, now I'm losing it. What is that called? Okay, oh, you know what? This is where you pull out the Google Assistant, dude. 1 second, it's not working right. Paradox published mech game. Paradox published mech game. Battletech! Thank you. Thank you, Google Assistant. So I played like a couple hours of Battletech, and I was like, you know, to be honest, I understand the user base for this game, but for me, it's a little too complicated. I need some of those very fine-grained strategic edges to be sanded off. I need something more elegant and like less fiddly. A la, you know, like an XCOM, Enemy Unknown, or XCOM 2. You know, both of which I think are some of my favorite games of all time. It was just, and you know, it's one of those things where it allowed for such fine-grained detail that I was just overwhelmed. You know, it was like, and if he has a water cannon, you can use a lightning bolt, specifically target his exhaust port. If it hits the exhaust port, it'll do damage equal to 1 D20's roll times the critical/luck stat of your player. And I was like, dude, just here's what I want. What's my percentage chance of hitting the enemy? Take a shot. But Phoenix Point, although I've not really interfaced too much with like the geoscape and the, you know, the strategy layer, or the tactics layer versus the strategy layer. Sorry, the strategy layer versus the tactics layer. But it seems like with its free targeting, it kind of hits the best of both worlds, you know? You have the ability, if you wanted to take slightly riskier shots at higher value areas, or you could take a more conservative shot at an area that's easier to hit. But it seems to me to be slightly less in-depth than something like Battletech. Which is like, I'm always here to stand up for the casual gamer, and I'm being honest. Almost every game I play is so-called core. I am a core gamer. But I also like casual game mechanics from time to time. I don't think anyone would even call, like, you know, XCOM a casual game, of course. But sometimes, you know, I think there's a fallacy in the game, really in the consumer criticism of the games industry, that if something is more in-depth, if something is deeper, it's automatically better. I am here to stand up for the people that are like, sometimes you can get a little too deep, there's too much stuff to worry about, and I just don't care. You know, I sometimes prefer experiences where, you know, a lot of that stuff is handled behind the scenes, and instead all I have to focus on is, you know, less elements. Like in XCOM, you know, Enemy Within, what do you have to focus on the tactics layer? You know, you have to focus on cover, sight lines, etc., etc. It's low. You know, in something like Battletech, it's, you know, terrain, all of your body parts have individual levels of HP. There's so many different weapon types instead of just, you know, like sniper, assault rifle, pistol, shotgun, grenade launcher, etc., etc. I'm just saying, okay? I'm not saying Battletech is too deep. Merely that it's too deep for me, and probably, here's the thing. You know what it happens to me, really, is that, like, I'm happy to play a game's tutorial to learn, and I think Battletech's tutorial was fine. However, the tutorial was like 90 minutes long for me, and that's about where I start to go, you know what, if it takes me 90 minutes to learn how to play your digital toy, for me personally, I'd rather learn, like, I don't know, like a life hack for how to make doing the dishes easier. I'd rather learn something I think that could pay dividends in my own non-digital life. It's not to say that it's, you know, I mean, it's pretty rich coming from somebody who has literally 3,200 hours in Isaac. By the way, there's been a little bit of an Isaac resurgence. I'm just saying. Dan Giesling, thanks to the new Steam library, I get to see when other people on my friends list are playing games, like, within the past 3 months. Dan Giesling started getting some achievements in Rebirth recently. And on September 25th, Omrecker played the game for the first time. I'm telling you, 2020's the year of Isaac, baby. 2019, various reasons, not necessarily the Binding of Isaac's best year, although the release of Bumbo, you know, the extended Isaac universe got a very solid addition, an Ant-Man style and quality addition to the Isaac extended universe. 2020... we're in, boys. Isaac's coming back. Maybe. At least to some extent. But, like... yeah, probably. Anyway. Watch this. I must break you. Rocky, that's Rocky 4. Okay, so we want Deal with the Devil here. No Deal with the Devil on the next. So we can use the Joker card. Oh, this could do it, dude. This is not a bad run. For certain. However, I could definitely use more offense. Succubus is a very nice passive damage dealer. No doubt about it. I'm not trying to throw Succubus under the Succubus. Could also use some speed, clearly. I will not use this. I can't afford to lose Succubus. So that's pretty much a useless jank item for us, unfortunately. Wow, that was a very fortuitous bomb. A new and better spacebar item would also be warranted, to be honest, but it is what it is. Okay. I don't mind it. I mean, one way or the other, we're getting something useful here, right? I would actually prefer Krampus's head, I think. And, you know, ask and ye shall receive. Things got a little spiced on this run, but I think we're finally starting to put it together. Can I say something to you? I forgot what we were talking about mere seconds ago. All I can think about is that this Saturday, oh man, so it's tomorrow. It's my day off, and oh my god, I actually have the day off. What a world. Last Saturday, it was, don't get me wrong, had a great time, you know. Really, I should be, like, thankful. Kate prepared a meal for Kate and for my parents and Kate and I, and it was, she was cooking for like 90 minutes. It was delicious. It was, and I should know the names of the dishes considering I lived in the country, but these were ones where I literally don't know. But there was like a little vegetable style, like julienne vegetable pancake. It was delicious. A chicken soup and a bean sprout stew. Really, all I did was sit on my butt and like talk to my parents about, you know, parent-son stuff. But still, I might finally be able to pencil in watching either The Irishman or Marriage Story. It's really cool. I also, dude, I gotta go see Knives Out. Because I keep doing the impression. Right? People are, I'm desperate. When people are desperate to see Knives Out, they go see Knives Out. But, I think it's cool that there are 2 Netflix movies that are definitely, like, almost, according to the scuttlebutt, I haven't seen them, but that really doesn't change my level of authority on this subject, because I don't vote for the Academy to begin with. There's 2 movies on Netflix that are going to be Best Picture nominees. That's cool. A few years ago, I would not have thought that. I will say, feel like the quality of Netflix original television programs has taken a serious nosedive since like 2013. Look, I don't want to say it, okay? But I'm gonna say it. Kevin Spacey, it definitely seems like a huge scumbag. But House of Cards Season 1 and 2 were really, really good TV. I'm not trying to glorify his image. It's really like, yes, okay, I'll say it. He was great in the role of Frank Underwood. But it's also, the show itself was produced amazingly. Robin Wright Penn was amazing in it. You know, that was some good quality TV. You know, like, and I'm not advocating for a return to the Spaceyverse at all, but you know, now, like, it used to be when I would see like Netflix original, I was like, oh my god, they only come out with like a show every 3 months. This has got to be good. Now it's like, sometimes it's like Netflix original, and it's a show. It's like, the boy whose butt was too large and too stinky. And I'm like, 80 episodes of the boy whose butt was too large? Come on, that's madness. You could wrap that up in a 90-minute movie. That's obviously ridiculous, by the way. But anyway, the boy whose butt was too large. Once there was a boy who had to get his jeans specifically tailored 'cause his gluteus maximus was 30% bigger than average. Crash test dummies. You get the anyway. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just thought this. People think I only watch 90 Day Fiancé and other trash TV like Love After Lockup. That's not true. I've been watching these Netflix originals about, you know, basically like slowly eroding my faith in the human race. There's this 4-episode miniseries that just came out called Broken. First episode is about counterfeit cosmetics, more or less. It's about the beauty industry at large, but mostly, you know, counterfeit cosmetics. And you're like, what does it matter, counterfeit cosmetics? Then like 5 minutes later, you're like, oh my god, people's faces are getting burned off by these fake Kylie Jenner lip kits. Next episode was about, you know, Jewel. And you're like, you know, I don't think 16-year-olds should be hitting the Jewel that much. And then you're like, oh my god, this company's evil. Then, next episode was about IKEA, right? It was about, you know, the furniture tip-overs that are, you know, injuring or even prove lethal for young kids. And went into the episode being like, IKEA, fun image, right? Meatballs and, you know, oh, all their furniture is named wacky Swedish stuff. At the end of it, I was like, okay, you're not that bad, but you could really work a little bit harder considering your station in the world. Next episode was about recycling, and I'm like, dude, recycling's a freaking sham. There's one point in that episode where the dude, he works at like a California recycling plant, and is like, he goes, if you see plastic like this, it says it's recyclable, but don't recycle it. We can't do anything with it. It's actually better for the earth to put it in a landfill instead of wasting all the resources sending it here. He was holding a package of mixed greens that I buy like once a week. And I was like, oh, come on, man. I've been eating all the greens, rinsing it out, putting it in the recycling bin in our domicile, carrying it down to the recycling area, putting the recycling in the, sorting it myself, putting it in the right zone, and he's just like, yeah, I know it says we can do it, but we can't do anything with it here. It's all a sham, dude. Anyway, maybe it's not all a sham, but... I also watched, I had the opportunity to watch some good movies last night, but instead, AMC was playing Last Holiday, a movie with Queen Latifah and LL Cool J, where Queen Latifah gets diagnosed with a terminal neurological disorder and chooses to spend her life savings on a trip to Europe because she thinks she only has 3 weeks to live. You might notice this sounds a little bit like The Bucket List. And I was thinking, like, I know I should just turn my brain off. The movie is bad, by the way, but I derive a lot of pleasure from watching bad content. It's not horrible. It's a likable movie in some ways, but it definitely, you know, is not good. But I was thinking, like, it's almost it's a tragedy in and of itself, because she is a retail employee, you know, in her 30s or maybe even 40s, and she gets diagnosed with a... It's very Breaking Bad-esque, actually. You know, she gets diagnosed with a life-ending disease. She goes, her insurance is like, we're not going to cover you. And then she goes, okay, how much to pay for it myself? And they go, you can't afford it. It's $350,000. She goes, okay, all right, I'm just going to live out 3 weeks, like, eating good food and base jumping in Europe. But I should have maybe just turned my brain off. She flew first class from the American South to the Czech Republic, and then started to stay in a hotel in the presidential suite, where it was 4,000 American dollars a night. And then every day she was doing thousands of dollars worth of shopping, dining, and activities. And I was like, 20 days, let's factor in a day for flying, times, you know, at least $6,000 or $7,000 American per day. This is, it's a fantasy. There's no way. You ever see the stats about millennials? I know it's a different era, but there's like something like 50% of millennials have like under $1,000 to their name. People in my generational cohort have an average age of like 28, you know? I was looking at this and I'm like, this lady... Like, it's bizarre, but it almost made me feel resentful of the person with the disease. But by the way, by the end of the movie, she hasn't actually... she doesn't have the disease. Spoilers. But I was like, you know, you were complaining about how hard life was. You clearly got like at least $100 grand in the bank to be able to afford this. Oh wait, no, now that I think about it, I believe she might have taken out a loan from the bank, but still. There's no way the bank's just giving out a loan like that. Anyway, maybe I was deep in a Tetris game at that part, but suffice it to say, if you are interested in watching the movie Last Holiday, starring Queen Latifah, LL Cool J. I was losing my mind too, dude, because you know who else is in that movie? Gus Fring. I've never seen... I'm not saying he's... I know he's an actor. He's not actually the owner of a franchise of fried chicken restaurants and also one of the American Southwest's biggest drug dealers. But I don't think I've ever seen him in a property where he was not playing Gus Fring. I understand that he was also in one of those Maze Runner movies along with Peter Baelish, but like, come on, dude. It's Hunger Games or bust. Okay, hold on. Gus Fring movie roles. Search. Oh, I have to enter my password to go to IMDb. Giancarlo Esposito. He's in The Mandalorian. I forgot about that. Okay. But what else is he in? Dude, can I point out? Gus Fring? Well, okay. Giancarlo Esposito. My man is 61 years old. He's looking good for 61. I mean, he's looking good, I think, my personal opinion. Agnostic of his age. But 60, I honestly would have said that he's a 50-year-old man. Anyway, let's see what else he got going on here. Filmography. Started in 1990. All right. Yo, he's in Bob Roberts with Tim Robbins. I didn't know that. The Usual Suspects. Had no idea. Twilight 1998 though. That's not the vampire one. He's been in a lot of stuff. Last Holiday. There it is. He played Senator Dillings. The Box. Son of Batman. Anyway. He's in Okja? I forgot he was in... he's been doing some great work. Anyway, I shouldn't have taken that delay there, because I really just want this run to be over. It hasn't reached... I mean, we're going to win. But it hasn't reached, like, just dominate and crap on the enemy's level of victory, and the 0.78 speed is just infuriating, but... I did do it to myself. Shouldn't be taking those pills, dude. If I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. There's always actors and actresses like that, you know? You see them pop up in things, they're like forever defined as a single role. Like, I don't care how many Jurassic Park movies he's been in. The answer is one. Spoilers, because of what happens. But anytime you see Wayne Knight in a film, he's not Wayne Knight. That's Newman. Newman flew to Costa Rica to work for the Jurassic Park Corporation. I refuse to believe that it's from, you know, it could be anything else. And actually, pretty much every actor from Seinfeld is in the same boat. You know, Jason Alexander, he's in Shallow Hal. Who does he play? He plays George, okay? George wearing kind of a weird hairpiece, but George nonetheless. I'm sure other people, you know, you've probably got better examples, to be honest. But those are the ones that stand out to me right now. There's also actors and actresses where you're like, I have seen this guy in 20 movies, but I cannot name another movie that he's in. The two that I always bring to mind are William Fichtner, who played the bank manager at the start of The Dark Knight Rises. He's also in Heat. He's in Drive Angry. I mean, he's literally in, like, he's in Armageddon. He's in hundreds of movies. And you will know him as that guy in every single one of them. The other one is David Morse, who is in, just Google him. I think he might have been in Armageddon as well, which is, again, proving my own point through my own ignorance. But he's also in 12 Monkeys and etc., etc. Those are the two that whenever I see them, people are like, it's that guy. And I'm like, excuse me, that guy? That's William Fichtner. I know because I thought he was that guy, so I've looked him up on IMDb 35 times. Anyway, we win. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. See ya!